All right, welcome to another episode of 31 Animals in 31 Days, my series that I do in January. This is the second year I have done this challenge to try and paint an animal a day, basically. Last year I did all cetaceans. This year we're mixing it up and doing a bunch of different types of animals. If you want to see how I painted the swordfish beside me, you can check out the video up above in the cards. And don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, notification bell if you are enjoying the videos and want to see more information on how I create my paintings. I lived in Halifax for 5 years, in Vancouver for 3 years, and then I moved last year back to my hometown in Ontario. And it's important because the species we are painting today is near and dear to my small town heart. We're gonna paint a cow. This animal is popularly requested amongst local followers who are enjoying the challenge, and I'm really excited to paint it today. So we have a prize-winning heifer, which is a young female cow, and it's gonna be really cute and charming. So I hope you enjoy me painting a cow today.
All right, I wanted to capture with the background the grass. I was really hoping at the end that I could put grass in front of the cow's hooves. Yeah, so I wanted to try and get a sky blue and a nice gradient from sky blue to a kind of nice vibrant green at the bottom. So it kind of just looks like it's in like a foggy pasture is kind of how it ended up turning out. But yeah, it kind of worked out. And I'm just using white and brown for all of this block-in stage. You're gonna see when I go to repaint the colors of the cow that I end up putting a lot more red into the brown. But this area is fun just kind of using, I guess I had a little bit of black in here too. So black, white, and brown are the only colors I'm using for the block-in. And I'm just trying to point out where all of the shadows and main highlights are to try and create a map really quickly for when I go back and do my kind of more refined blending. This painting is really cool in the fact that I really do it left to right. I just, kind of like a printer, I went in and as if you would write on a page, I started blending at its butt and moved towards its head because the head's the more complicated part. And that's kind of how I blocked it in as well here. Its ears are just so darn fluffy. It's so cute. This cow has a really awesome light patches around its eyes that help them really stand out as well. And it was a bit tricky to get kind of the perspective of its mouth so it didn't look like it was like super frowning. Get its little nostril in there. Yeah, okay, so this is when I've added a lot more red to get the actual full color of the cow. So I'm just kind of creating those really even gradients, one patch at a time. There's kind of a highlight on its hip, on its lower hip, on its back, and right kind of its upper stomach there. So I'm trying to kind of blend all three of those at once. And there's a little bit of highlights just on the top edge of the tail that we can see there peeking through. And the bone structure of their legs is super interesting to try and paint and get their lighting right. Of course, the back leg, I wanted to make sure was a lot toned down. So there's a lot less of the red color in that leg so that it looks like it's a little bit further away. It's a bit more of a cooler toned leg. That helps get that kind of perspective between the two legs. And I played a lot with the ankles and the knees and just trying to really get a good look for how that all worked out, get the structure of the animal. Yeah, the cow is basically a big lesson in blending, just trying to really add your darkest color, add your lightest color, having enough paint to work on the canvas and then wiping off your paintbrush and just kind of dry brushing between the two colors to create that really nice even gradient between them. And then you can kind of add more of the lightest color or the darkest color if you've lost it in your initial gradient, and just kind of doing that process over and over again until you're happy with how the colors are turning out. This is a close-up of me kind of working on those knees. Yeah, so you can see there's very little paint on my brush. I'm just really dry brushing to smooth it out. There's some real-time painting of its neck. I always use real-time clips for my intro, so I mix recording time lapses and recording real-time clips. I think I've thrown in a couple in here. So onto the neck and the head and face and ears. I spent a lot of time trying to blend around its neck. It has all these kind of wrinkles because its head's turned towards us in the perspective. And they were definitely interesting to paint. I kind of fussed with them a bit here and then I decided to leave them for a bit. Its nose is a very, very light pink brown color, which is pretty fun. And then the bottom lip kind of has a lot more shadow on it. It's a little too dark here, but I lighten it up in a sec. And I really wanted to get enough fur strokes on its ear and the top of its head so you can really see that kind of thicker, fluffier fur that's around its face compared to the rest of its body that's pretty silky smooth fur. So we're working on the gradient around the eyes, and of course you got to add the little sparkle and make it all come to life. Did a lot of blending inside the nostrils as well. It's kind of hard to see, in this angle. But the outside of the nostrils is a really light gray, and then only the deepest inside part is black at the bottom. Yeah, we're fixing the eye blending, and it's kind of got a ridge that has a bit of a shadow right at the top of the eye. And there we lighten up that bottom area. And it was interesting trying to create the perspective between its face and its neck. The cow in the reference image I used actually has a halter on its face, so I didn't want to paint that obviously, but it covers a lot of like the detailed shadows that help separate its head and its neck. So it was interesting to try and make up that kind of facial structure so that it looked like you could see along the jawline and it was distinctive. So I kind of was just guessing at it and had to play around with it a little bit and smoothing out that edge around its neck. Trying to make sure its cheek didn't get too hidden in there. Didn't want it to be like a super skinny face. Felt like it had to have a bit more cheeks on it. And when I was blending in the folds of the neck and adding those highlights and kind of reblending them in, I took a lot of times that I was standing way back from the painting and trying to get an overall view of how it looked. And here I'm going in with dark green, just trying to add some of that grass texture at the bottom of the canvas. And then I go in with a lighter green and I do around its hooves, and then it looked kind of strange, so I did some other areas at the bottom as well, just to kind of polish it off together.
I hope you enjoyed watching this time-lapse tutorial video of my thought process into how I created this cow. I had a lot of fun with it, especially getting to paint its face and its ears. It was a little tricky to do the blending there. And I loved how we added the little grass at the bottom. This is part of my 31 Animals in 31 Days series. If you wish to see the rest of the animals I've created during this challenge, you can check it out in the playlist over there. And if you're enjoying it, hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone.